Hey guys, do you like film noir?
Do you like detective stories?
Do you like a little bit of comedy?
Yeah, I do.
Well,
personally.
Then I have just the show for you, Jack Austin, star of this show that I'm about to plug.
What's the name?
The name is Atlas Avenue
Beats.
See, you know it.
I do know it. I love it.
You love it because you star in it, or just because it's awesome?
Yes.
Exactly. It's a great show, and it's about this guy. He's a PI, James Locke, and all he does is solve cases and meet strange folk.
Like it's his job.
That's true, because he is a private investigator. That's what PI stands for.
It is.
Go to 7lamb.com or Spreaker.com/user/7lamb, and you'll find all of our podcasts there. Once again, 7lamb.com, 7, the number 7, LAMB.com, Atlas Avenue Beat. Thanks, and we'll see you there. But by see you, I mean listen.
I love you. Third time's a charm.
Here we go.
Is it? I can't tell. I don't see the thing moving. Hello, everybody!
Who's gonna sneak in on me?
And welcome to the Alter Ego Podcast. My name is Jack Austin, and with me always is the Cyborg Mark.
How's it going?
I mean, that sounds just like me. I mean, Jack. I mean, wait. Megan, your turn. Go.
Who's on first?
Hey, what's up? It's me now. What the hell was that?
Jack, don't embarrass me.
How do we have two Megans? That's so weird.
Really weird, right?
How's everybody doing?
How are you so good at doing impressions and voices of people and you can't even do mine? And I probably talk in your ear more than anybody on this planet.
That was you. That's a good you. You just don't like your impression.
With that look you
Yeah.
got, you probably just cut, like, I don't know, like 4 days off your life. I don't know
At
what's going to
least.
happen, but
Whatever, bring it.
After you kill him, dibs on his Xbox.
How's everybody doing?
You know.
great. Long time no see.
This time, this
How
is
are
Jack,
you doing,
viewers,
Jack?
listeners at home.
Oh, I
This
thought it
is
was Mark
really-
throwing his voice.
Yeah.
He's so good at impressions.
He did such a good job. What's up, Brian? What'd you say?
I said, how are you doing today?
It's a beautiful November day. Thank you for asking. No one asks.
They never
November.
do.
Just you. You're the only one that asks.
Happy to be back on the
I
November
try to be
topic.
kind.
Yes. I am so happy to be back on the November train. And Justin, if you're listening, you're the guy who told us, I won't miss November. I'll be here.
I was here when
Broken.
you said that.
I want to be a
Promises.
part of it. And here we are.
Better get that tattoo removed.
Rob doesn't even need to give his cat water anymore. We just cried in the bowl.
Oh my gosh.
It's not true. We miss you, buddy. You know who else misses Justin?
Tony and
Ford
Nellis?
Supply Company.
Both.
This episode of Alter Ego is sponsored by Ford Supply Company, makers of all natural and organic soaps for men, with scents like tropical teakwood, citrus IPA, cypress pine, and many more. Visit their website at fordsupply.com to order online and use promo code Alter Ego to get 10% off your order. Ford soap. Real soap. No bullshit.
That was gorgeous.
I know.
He does this thing when he does that voice where he drops his eyebrows and they basically make like an arrow up. You
Try
gotta
to do
watch
it.
him. You
Try to
guys
do
watch
it.
him.
You ready? Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Tony Anellos.
His ass
I
Just saw the
definitely
Skyway
re-
Bridge.
I definitely really did it on that one just to kind of give it the effect. Tony Anello's Southern Italian Cuisine and Grill is a hidden gem that's family-owned and operated on the outskirts of St. Petersburg at 1136 Pinellas Bayway, South Tierra Verde, Florida. This is a must-try for a homemade Italian lunch or dinner. Just remember to bring your appetite because the portions are very generous. Call for a reservation today at 727-867-3577 and check out TonyAnellos.com. Or we will hunt you down and kill you like the dog that you are. No, sorry.
Oh my.
Okay, kidding.
Oh, boy.
Eat some Italian food. It's delish.
I'm hungry now.
Yeah, me too. I'm hungry for more Symbiote news. I'm hungry for us to get back into November.
Excuse me.
We missed last week, although we had the little news episode, which I loved.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're back to business.
Mm-hmm.
There's no news today.
Serious business.
Serial business.
Oh, you're talking about cereal. I'm still hungry.
So, I mean,
Serial killer business. You talking about Carnage?
Yummy. Oh,
attaboy. I don't know why, but that made me want Apple Jacks just then.
Why?
Cereal Carnage. I was like, cereal, Apple Jacks. That sounds good.
What?
huh.
Apple Jacks is the first cereal that comes to mind when he says cereal.
Yeah, and Carnage.
All right, cereal. Megan.
Cocoa Puffs.
Cereal.
Ooh, cereal.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Ooh.
Italian food.
Italian. Pizza.
Okay. I had to throw him a curveball. He can't set himself up to know the answer.
I now need to know.
Pizza
Cereal.
O's.
I now need to know. I need to know. Cereal.
You need to know cereal? Oh, Golden Grams all day.
Okay,
Wow.
that's a
Sugar
something I
Bear?
wasn't
Is it Sugar Bear or is it Honey Bear? What's his name?
Sugar Bear.
Sugar Bear. That's the dopest
I don't think that
icon of any
I don't-
cereal.
Is he? That's not Golden Grams, is it?
No,
Is it
that's
Sugar Bear?
honeycombs. No, that's
No.
Sugar Smacks.
Sugar Smacks.
Okay.
No,
the frog, though,
Wait
isn't
a
it?
second.
What's
Wait
Golden
a
Grams?
second.
Golden Grams is just nothing.
Golden Grams
It's
doesn't have a
Golden
guy.
Grams. They don't need a guy. They have delicious cereal.
Why does it have to be a guy?
They don't need anybody except for me to buy it.
We've got like 5 cereals mashed into
Golden
one idea.
Grams. Big fans of the show.
Come back for Cereal-wary.
Cereal-wary,
Wow.
where we talk about cereals.
Let's see. What's a good month for cereal-wary? January? I don't know.
Yeah,
know.
sure.
February?
Cereal-wary. That's great. We'll do that. Nice play on words.
Siri-April.
None of that works.
No?
No. But then
But you know it does work.
plot twist.
Tony and
Plot twist. We talk about serial killers, not actual cereal.
Wow.
I'm less intrigued now.
That got dark. That got
You
dark.
guys ever have Raisin Bran Crunch? That shit's delicious.
Yeah.
I like that too.
She's like, yeah, you know what else? Somebody killed an entire family in a log cabin.
How did none of us like 90s kids say Fruit Loops
Mine
and
is Fruity
Frosted
Pebbles
Flakes
is honestly my
and
go-to.
Fruity Pebbles?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch just came
Cinnamon
out
Toast
because
Crunch
of the
is
shot.
is up there for show.
I will say, growing up, it was a tie between
Honey Nut Cheerios.
Frosted Flakes and Honey Nut
Honey
Cheerios.
Nut Cheerios.
If ever she says I'm getting cereal, I always say, see if there's Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yeah.
But I just had a hankering for Apple Jacks. Okay.
It's weird because growing up, like I liked Fruit Loops and Fruity
Mm-hmm.
Pebbles and the chocolatey cereals, but now it's like Frosted Mini Wheats and Honey Nut Cheerios.
Because you're old.
I know, I'm old.
Wow.
I'm old, but I love it, and it brings me joy.
And you're You
Wow.
can't start singing a song and not
was
expect me to sing. I'm sorry.
Fruity Pebbles
You
and
get
Captain
it.
Crunch. The roof of my mouth hated me.
Oh,
Yeah, that, for sure, for sure.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
unless
yes.
peanut
Oops,
butter
all
was just too
berries?
good.
Yeah, unless the
I love
milk
Oops, All
ratio
Berries.
was on point, the top of your mouth was destroyed.
gladly.
Yeah,
When you were a
happily.
kid watching TV on Saturday, it was well worth it.
Can you
Yeah.
make sure we're still recording? 'Cause
100%.
This episode has got derailed very quickly by breakfast food.
You know what?
okay.
That happens. Don't bring it up around me if you don't want me to talk about it.
Now we're going to dive into something that's a little less sweet.
Yeah, but really awesome.
Probably more awesome.
One of
maybe.
my favorite Marvel properties, really. I don't want to say just Venom, because that's not true. I love Venom. I think he's the patriarch of all the stuff we're about to talk about. But I think the idea of the symbiotes is just so incredible. Just the way that whatever that hosts, ideals are, what have you. Obviously, Eddie Brock is made different by the Venom symbiote, and it kind of accentuates the way that he is. And in the same way, in the same other side of that coin, rather, Cletus Cassidy and the Carnage symbiote, and how they affect each other. There's so much about them that I think that they could go on and on and on as long as they want, especially now with the current comics run, but we won't get into that. So we're going to talk about some of the most popular symbiotes out there in the
Sweet.
world.
Yeah.
And who we like, who might surprise us. And I have somebody that I want to bring up today that is in the most recent comic books run that I think down the road, and shout out to Justin, he and I were having a conversation about this particular individual last week and how we think he's going to be extremely OP or overpowered and somebody that could really shake up the entire Marvel universe.
Is this the same guy I want to talk about?
Well, golly gee, I just don't know. So let's talk
He's gonna
about
steal my thunder.
some of the big symbiotes. I think I might have hit pause there, but so we've got the obvious, the Venoms, the Carnages, the...
Oh, don't just brush over them
No,
like
no,
they're
no.
nothing.
Yeah, no.
Please. Get into it, Mark.
You're the man wearing the Venom shirt
do
right
you
now.
want to?
I am.
If we're gonna do this right, do you want to deep dive into the history? Because we got to start with one particular character.
I just saw a
If
legal
so.
pad get pulled out with
I
a
think
lot
that's-
of notes on
I
it.
took some MF notes today. Okay.
She did.
Oh, true.
Okay.
Try hard.
let's
I'm just
start
gonna
with-
Google shit.
Let's start with this. S.H.I.E.L.D. considers the Venom symbiote the biggest threat to the world, aside from three other names, rather. Do you know who those other three names are?
Outside of symbiotes entirely.
Outside of symbiotes. Venom and these three characters are the biggest threat to humanity.
Galactus.
And what continuity?
No.
People on Earth.
Only Earth people. Only Earth people. Not
These three just so happen to all be on Earth.
Okay.
On Earth. Okay, I'm trying to think of who's on.
Bruce
Red
Banner?
Skull?
Bruce Banner? Not Bruce Banner. Red Skull is one of those people.
Tony Stark.
No.
I was saying,
He's considered a good guy.
The
And
man-
so
I
they're
know,
in
I
the
know,
Hulk.
but that doesn't. I mean, but he could be considered one of the most dangerous with the
Hulk
knowledge and ability.
definitely
he has.
could be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Tony Stark? Yeah.
Yeah.
He as well.
So
but
I didn't know if
but
that
no,
was like a
he's-
trick.
He's
that you're
not
getting.
on the watch list.
I said the Mandarin. Is that not one of them?
That's not one of them.
Should be.
Can I ask?
You guys
questions?
are going to slap yourselves in the face when you figure out one of them.
But I'm trying to think of people on
Dr.
Earth.
Doom?
Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom. That makes sense.
that makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
Dr.
He
Doom.
was who I was thinking when I said, "Is it villains?"
Red Skull.
Okay.
Franklin
and
Richards.
One more. Not
Mr.
Franklin
Sinister?
Richards. Not Mr. Sinister. Close.
Mephisto?
Magneto?
Magneto.
Ooh. Yes.
I mean, is that Elite Company or is that Elite Company?
Let's have a barbecue. Invite them.
Yeah. Hey, Magneto, come on over. Charcoal grill, wood fire, please.
Although Red
don't-
Skull is dead, right? So maybe not him.
The way Marvel Comics is, nobody's dead.
That's true.
Ever.
He's up on that mountain with the Vision Stone.
Not anymore.
I know.
Oh,
He's
you're
been-
talking MCU.
I know,
That's
I was
not
being
what I'm
funny.
Oh,
talking
we're going
about.
to start breaking down
Come
continuities and
on.
which Earth it is.
We are on the comics episode. We should not be MCU driven right now.
That's true. We should not.
But anyway, what does
yeah,
that lead us to, babe?
So, I mean, we did have the brief
Leads us to
introduction.
Venom in his first
Yeah.
appearance in the
Okay.
Amazing
Protector?
Spider-Man number 300
Oh.
back in 1988.
We did cover a lot of this in our previous episode about
Yeah.
Venom.
We did.
And
So
our
I don't want to
introductions to him.
hammer that again, but I
Yeah.
thought that was a
I see why you wanted to kind of
Yeah.
breeze
The
over Venom a little
segue,
bit.
yeah. We'll talk about Venom still.
But here's the thing that I love about symbiotes, and I think we've talked about this, but if we haven't, I think it's a good bit of knowledge. Every time one of these symbiotes spits off another version of itself, which in the case of Venom, he spit out Carnage, and then Carnage spit out Toxin. They are always exponentially stronger than their predecessor. So that kind of makes me wonder, where is it going with that?
No, we're good. That's
Eventually,
for sure.
there's going to be something out there that just nobody can handle.
Yeah. Which I feel like is kind of where it all started.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we'll see that. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the comics stuff, because I want to bring that guy up in the comics too, because I know that that's a newer line of comics that branch that discuss him.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's kind of where it started. I feel like I don't know if anything could quite be as powerful as he is.
You're talking about the one who's in the current run.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so do you want to push that towards the end, or you want to jump into it right
well,
I
now?
want to
if we're
push that
talking-
towards the end because
I
my
do
guy
too.
comes after that one.
Okay.
Okay, I was going to say I do too, but history, if we're talking about symbiote history, he kind of has to come first.
Yeah. I would have to agree.
He's powerful AF, but he kind of has to come first. He's the very first symbiotic creature.
Entity, really.
Entity. A god.
Well, he's the first in theory, but not chronologically. Not the first we've ever seen.
Right.
Not the
By
fir-
order of
right.
appearance, he's way down the list.
Yeah.
But in order
Right.
of power and seniority,
And in the symbiotic story, he's technically, in history, he's the first. So whether we've seen him yet or not, symbiotically, in the story, he's the very first
well,
one.
in the current comic run, we have seen him.
We have.
Yeah.
It's brand new, and I
Yeah.
can't wait to start reading it. I'm like literally chomping at the bit now.
Very
that I know
good.
who he is.
It's very exciting. I read 28 issues of Venom several weeks ago and was very happy to see that character develop along, which why are we pussyfooting around it? It's Null,
No.
the symbiote god. He is the one who's been the catalyst towards absolute carnage. He's the one who's making symbiotes go back to their primal urges and essences of just killing and kind of making them lapdogs to anything that Null wills or wants to do. How about the fact that he also flies around in a giant symbiote dragon?
Yeah, let's talk
my
about that
God.
really quick.
That's hard.
I haven't read any of this,
So
but everything
he-
you tell me is
to give
ridiculous.
to give a little bit
I
on
love it.
him. He is. I just kind of wrote down some clips. He is an evil deity. He existed long before the universe did. And
As
when-
they have recently
as
touched
they've
on.
yeah. So as they've recently developed him more as a character, he existed long before the actual universe did. And when creation became a thing, he didn't like it. He liked being alone in the darkness in the universe with nothing.
Would he be considered an Eternal or just adjacent to an Eternal?
They do just name him as a deity.
Yeah,
Okay.
they just name him as a deity.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the light. That's actually kind of a weakness of his, which I was a little disappointed to see that was something because that's not. I mean, that's such an easy thing.
Hey, let's go out here and fight in the sunshine.
But I don't
Human
know. I
Torch
don't know
is
if
gonna be a
that's. I don't
bitch.
know if that's necessarily a
I
weakness.
was going to say, I don't think they mean light in the literal
just
sense.
that he doesn't like it. He literally likes living in the dark, and he was the creator of the symbiote. So he's from Clintar, which is a planet of symbiotes, which is mentioned in Venom, right?
Yeah.
He literally spawned off of his own self. He spawned other symbiotes to create basically an army to annihilate the rest of the universe. He didn't like the fact that there was life and creation anywhere other than him on his planet.
But it's funny that you bring that up, Mark, because the them that she's referring to are Celestials.
yeah.
Okay.
Celestials
speaking of
bring
that-
light to the
I meant
universe.
Celestials, not Eternals. Sorry.
Yeah, so speaking of
Celestials-
Celestials,
Yeah.
he created a sword called, it was called All Black. It's a sword of living darkness, and he used it to decapitate a Celestial, which, unbeknownst to anybody,
Is that nowhere?
it's the sword that Hela uses in Ragnarok,
Ooh.
Which is crazy.
which I didn't know until today. I mean, I didn't really know much about Null at all until today, but I was kind of like, okay, so what? I like that because we always talk MCU heavy, and obviously that's where a lot of my knowledge from the characters come from, and the fact that even a small bit of him has been in the MCU anywhere was kind of like, I love that so much. So his literally his powers and his abilities and his strengths, it was like a paragraph long of just one thing after the next in paragraph form, just with commas in between. It was just, I couldn't even write that shit down. There was so much stuff.
You just should have been like, it's a deity. That's enough.
Right.
I mean,
I'm talking flight. I'm talking super
Yeah.
strength. I'm talking regeneration. I'm talking like healing powers. Like literally, you name it.
Basically
he's
every power.
got it.
created his own planet out of symbiotes.
Yeah,
And,
created his own fucking planet.
Was able to easily overpower Silver Surfer and make him a Black Knight, I think is what they called him.
Ooh.
Can I just say
oh,
that
did not know
Null, we
that.
need a Funko of Null, like us Funko fans. I know that was like weeks ago, but Funko, hello.
Oh, I'm sure they'll cash in. Don't you worry.
Yeah,
Please.
don't you worry. They hear you
I need a
loud and
Null
clear.
pup.
There's some guy
Make it like
sculpting some clay right
Yes,
now.
make it a pop ride and put his ass on a symbiote dragon, please. Okay, thank you.
I just got my
That's just an
first
idea.
pop ride today, and I'm happy.
Yeah, pop rides are cool. I want a pop ride with him on a symbiotic dragon, please.
Yeah, that would be killer.
Merry
But
Christmas
yeah,
to me.
he's the big looming danger, and in the comic series, I think
King in
everybody's
Black, I think.
everybody's involved. Everybody, Thor, Cap, Iron Man. He's the next one. Then they're.
And
they've
this is an
even-
absolute carnage that you're saying that he's born in, or are you talking about King in Black?
He's before Absolute Carnage.
Okay, so King in Black is where he's introduced.
King
So
in
that's
Black
the
is the
comic
first
line.
story that I think is going to focus on him.
And we'll talk more about that a little bit on the
Okay.
next episode, I think.
I got questions. I'm stupid, but I'm trying to keep up. So you said this guy made all these symbiotes.
Yeah.
And you just said earlier that symbiotes, when they spit out another one, they become exponentially stronger.
Right.
So why the fuck aren't Venom, Carnage super OP?
He
'Cause
is not a symbiote himself.
No, he is a god.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
Null is not a symbiote himself.
So he's not spitting.
I didn't get that
he's
either.
kind of like the exception to the rule. Yeah, he's not. He's an exception to the rule when it
no
comes
host.
to right. He has no host. He is
No.
him and him only. So that's why I'm saying, like, I think when it comes to strength, it really, like, it seems backwards because, like you were saying, that they get stronger as they spit out extra, versions of themselves, basically. But
Here's the thing.
He's
Here's
the
a
end-all, be-all
relatable.
in the beginning,
Here's a relatable. Thor is not more powerful than Odin.
right?
Know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The
Well, see-
Asgardians aren't stronger than the creator. That's the same for the symbiotes. Null is the Odin of the symbiote world, which is badass. He looks very imposing. He is.
He
Can I see a
looks
picture?
incredibly dope.
Yeah, this is him right here. He kind of looks like the necromancer from
boy.
Diablo. I don't know if you've ever seen him.
Yeah, I sent a picture to
That
the
is
group,
not
too,
what I
so-
expected. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
insane.
he's crazy.
Shout out to Marvel Fandom. I love this site too. They will pull up absolutely anything you want, and they can give you all the hookups if you need to see stuff, learn about backgrounds and things of that nature. But also read the new Venom.
See, I haven't read a Venom book in a while. And that is so
That's
cool.
it. I'm showing a picture of him sitting
The
on
cover.
sitting
symbiote
on like a symbiotic throne,
Yeah.
basically.
And the first thing that you would discover is you discover some of these primal symbiotes, and one of them, Venom lays eyes on him and instantly goes like primal. Stops listening to
That's
Eddie.
what so when they have that, so they have their normal eyes when you're looking at a symbiote, but when they have that corrupt
Yeah.
look, like the corrupt Venom Funko Pop that they have, it literally looks like a spiral.
I've seen that before.
It's
Okay.
as if they're like hypnotic.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
literally under hypnosis of whatever it is that's controlling them, and so they get this, like, the pop is a corrupt. We have a corrupt Venom Funko Pop, and it literally, he has a big old spiral on his face, and the picture around him, all of them have it. On
This
his,
is
on their
also in the
face.
comics. If you want,
It
that's
just
what-
looks
that's
like
what
a-
it looks
Gotcha.
like.
And
That's cool looking.
I remember that funk. I've seen that one. So I have another question. Where does that symbol stem from? Because I see it on his chest. It almost
The
looks like a
spider-ish
red
looking thing?
spider-ish looking thing.
So that's another thing that they go back to. That is not the spider.
Nope.
it's not the
That
spider.
is an image of the dragon that he rides around on, and the dragon kind of represents him on like a house crest. And they have retroactively gone back and said that's what's on Venom's chest too.
See,
I know.
I know. I don't
when they
really,
do
I don't
that.
really like
Yeah.
retroactive stuff either, because if they've talked about it in the comics, then it should kind of stick. But I know that there's different.
but
don't
I
know.
mean, Venom's clearly looks like a spider.
yeah.
Yeah,
That one didn't.
No.
right.
It almost looks like the little thing that jumps out of Aliens. The thing
I
that jumps
agree.
on your face.
And I think this is let's do this for continuity, and we'll go back and say. Yeah,
But in
no,
all
no,
honesty,
no,
it
that's
looks
what
more like what's on Agent Venom, more so than even what's on. Venom.
I hate really aggressive retcons.
Agent Venom and Venom are the same thing. Different hosts.
I
same
know,
guy.
but the way that the things are spread across their
aesthetic.
chest, they look different.
Huh. Okay. So where do we go from here? All right, we started with the most powerful, the person who started
So
it all.
he spat out.
yeah.
So who do you shoot out first?
Who do
we know?
We don't know. We
Okay.
don't know. And Venom is not of note, really, of the symbiotes that have escaped the planet. They don't say, like, Venom is the chosen one who left and will come back. No, it's nothing like that.
So not to get into the movie too much, but just like the Venom in the movie, he's kind of like, well, I'm trying to nobody where I come from. I'm going to
Yeah.
stick around here.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Kind
Yeah.
of.
Okay.
And I think that and it makes more sense the more that you know kind of about the history of symbiotes, because if he ends up being that anti-hero that we all kind of know Venom is, as opposed to Carnage, which I know that the mind of the host kind of takes over the symbiote, but then there's Carnage and Riot and those type of symbiotes that we'll get into that are probably not considered, like, I mean, it kind of makes mention that Riot isn't
He's
a
nobody of note in
loser.
the comics, really.
He's not a loser.
In the movie, he's meant to be some big badass, but
Right.
in the comics, he's almost not even mentioned. He's not even named in
Which is kinda
Lethal
crazy.
Protector.
Yeah, because
where,
he's one of the Guardians.
well, yeah, he's one of the 5 symbiotes that the Life Foundation has a hold of,
Yeah,
and
we'll talk about them too.
yeah, they don't give any of them names. Like even Scream didn't get a name till several comics way down the road. They were just there for their looks.
Yeah.
I've never
But I think
seen
it makes
Scream
sense
or
that
Riot.
it makes
in
sense
comic
that
book
Venom
form.
sees himself and probably is treated like a loser because this is where he comes from. He comes from like the black pit of the universe of evil, And he's like, well, I don't necessarily want to kill him, but I want to eat him, but I don't really want to kill him, but I kind of want to eat him. Like, he's very conflicted, which makes him that anti-hero, but he has that, I want to be kind of a good guy. I want to only eat bad people. Like, Scream is dope.
Yeah,
is that a she? Right?
Sorry, I was just pulling it up to show.
So
I've seen,
if we want to dive into her, since you're showing those, we can talk about the Guardians. She uses like her hair is basically her tendrils. What are they called? Tendrils.
Yeah.
So she uses her hair as like her tendrils, and she was kind of seen as the Guardian leader. And so there's, like he was saying, the Life Foundation got their hands on, was it several symbiotes or just one?
5.
5 different symbiotes from. Sorry.
Just typed in Riot, not Riot symbiote.
From Clintar, they got their hands on 5 different symbiotes from there. And Scream was kind of seen as the leader of the 5.
Yep.
Okay, so he looks almost like Venom.
But he's silver. He's just a different look. He does look like he does in the movie. But of the Life Foundation symbiotes, we have Scream, Riot, Lasher, yeah,
Agony, and Phage.
Yep. And they don't get names. They just kind of get beat
Prince.
quick. Huh?
So what they
got like Prince, they're just like symbols, just one name. That's it. That's all you get.
So like in the movie, you see that obviously Riot gets on.
And here's all
Carlton Drake. So in the comics, what happens, and this is all in Lethal Protector as well, which we'll talk a little bit more on the comics episode, but they put them on Life Foundation employees.
Yeah, like
basically.
They're going to be cops.
So Scream is put on Donna Diego, who is a security guard who was known for like having mental psychotic episodes. So they thought that she would be like the perfect.
She's crazy.
Yeah,
put
she's
on
crazy.
Her.
Put her on there.
And, comics.
She surprisingly, at least in the comics, none of them really last that long. Although they come
in
back
Lethal
full
Protector,
circle.
they last almost no time at all.
But,
they're introduced in issue 5 and dismissed in issue 5.
And Scream's the only one that makes it through of the 5. She's the only one that ends up.
When you say dismissed, you mean they got killed?
Yeah.
I was going to say, are they taken off or are they eating?
But they come back
from the inside.
So here's the thing, too. Symbiotes definitely can eat their host and kill them the way that they do in the comics.
We'll talk about one that does do that, actually.
It's a little bit more in the movie that they do that because they don't have to. You know what I mean? Like Venom, I don't think this big thing in the comics where Venom's trying to eat him the whole time. They do lie to their hosts. Mm-hmm. Like Venom convinces Eddie at one point, you've got terminal cancer, but I can keep you alive. And Eddie does not have terminal cancer. Mm. Venom is saying whatever he can to stay attached to Eddie because of how good of a host he is. Mm-hmm. But, those are all good ones. I mean, aside from the Life Foundation, I'd say Toxin is one of my favorites.
Before we jump into that, though, because I think there's some pretty cool stuff that comes from the ones from the Life Foundation. I mean, like Riot, I think deserves a little bit more time for sure because he's the one that has. I mean, they did a pretty decent job with him in the movie. I think based on what I read, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he basically is an arsenal of weapons. Like he literally can do the blades with his hands. He can turn into whatever he wants, do the spikes. Like he's crazy, just like the rest of them.
Right, but at the same time, he's made to be a lot more important in the movie than he is in the comics.
That's true.
But you have to. We can't say, here are 5 nobodies. You have to have a bad guy.
They're dealing with what the cards they have. So
exactly.
But they each kind of have they each kind of have their own special thing to them. Like Agony spits acid. I mean, none of them are super special, especially because, like we said, they all pretty much don't make it. But I don't want to skip over them too much because at one point, even after the comics, when they are disintegrated or killed, their hosts are killed, they aren't. And the 4 of them become one symbiote. They mold together to become hybrid, which is the 4 symbiotes coming together. And he's pretty cool, too. Yeah. I mean, he also bonded with a security guard. And he actually is not really a bad, like when they're all together, he's not as bad as like you would think them all coming together would be. He actually is like trying to convince his host, which is some security guard named Scott Washington, to not act rationally and not, be violent. But the fact that there's 4 of them coming together, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I think at some point they even do militarize these symbiotes and give them on actual death squads and stuff like that, or military guys, and say, hey, this one will help you do this one will help you do this, and they actually do end up being able to control that a little bit better. They
all are, like I said, they come from that Life Foundation like employees, and they're mainly security guards, and Phage, who was thought to be the leader until Scream was pretty much the only one that survived, supposedly. And he was like a mercenary. So like they're smart and not, I know that what's-her-face, Scream was crazy, but she was a security guard. So they all have that kind of background, and that they kind of take the mentality of their host with some control as well. I mean, we saw that in the movie,
I thought it was the other
too.
way around. I always thought the symbiote controlled the host.
I think it's a bit of both. It's a you answer, because you probably know that better than me.
That's what I was saying, is it takes after the qualities of their host. That is true. However, personalities can vary sharply, right? And the biggest example of that is Carnage, I think, because Carnage latched on to Cletus Cassidy, and instantly it was all murder and mayhem from there on out. But look at his host.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Venom has adapted in many hosts that he's been with. For instance, when he was with Eddie Brock, he was a little bit more primal, had the teeth out and the tongue and all that kind of stuff, because Eddie doesn't have as great control over his persona. And then you have something like Agent Venom, where he jumps on Flash Thompson, and he's completely docile. And he just takes orders, but that's also because of outside factors like symbiote suppression stuff, so where you can use the benefits without them taking over your brain. But it does adapt to who it jumps on.
More so Black Suit Spider-Man when he first gets the symbiote.
Right.
And he gets rid of him because he doesn't like the way it's starting to make him think.
Right.
So
the influence. It's not a complete takeover.
It's not a Weekend at Bernie situation where he's controlling all your limbs and stuff. Right. Like, hey, why don't we go do that?
Yeah, one of the best is Eddie Brock and the way that they can move so well together.
Yeah, they
that's what makes them so strong, is because they're such a good unit together. I mean, it's widely said that Brock is the best host with Venom, because Venom's been on tons and tons and tons of people.
Speaking of that, do you know who the first person was that he got on?
Deadpool.
We talked about this.
Did you?
You weren't here.
So I remember you saying
guess you didn't listen to the episode, Megan.
Listen.
I did listen.
Unbelievable.
So I did listen.
Is
but
now
I
the time we have the talk, Mark?
I'm getting
Hit
fired.
the button.
Well, thanks so much for listening.
So I did listen, but obviously it was a couple weeks ago now that I heard it, but I didn't realize you guys had said that he was the first one that he jumped on. But yeah, so to circle back, let's go. I'm doing great today, okay? I got my notes.
Back to the retroactive stuff that we were talking about, because
But,
these two were like, Deadpool, what do you mean?
But Deadpool, he immediately disengaged from him. Deadpool was like, I'm not having this, no thank you, and was not about it. And apparently you guys talked about that.
So here's
Screw
another
me.
thing, too.
Probably jumped on Deadpool and the symbiote went,
No.
oh my
Hold on.
God, what's wrong with this guy?
Probably it might have been a
He's
mutual
covered in
breakup.
lesions.
That also wouldn't be the first time that's happened,
No.
because Professor Charles Xavier has tried to take over Deadpool and get into his mind, and he almost got lost.
Yeah.
And jumped out and said, okay, we're
Never
not messing
mind.
with that guy.
So when the symbiote hops, does it get stronger
No.
or no?
It's the bond with the host.
Yeah, it all
That makes
depends
it
on the bond with the
stronger.
host.
So the symbiote itself isn't that strong. So
Correct.
jumping on a Deadpool, he's not going to adapt, healing powers or
Right.
something.
Correct.
And it's not, I don't even think it has anything to do with who they jump on. I think it has entirely to do with the bond that
The host
they're
has.
held with. So I mean, if Venom jumped on Arnold Schwarzenegger just because he's strong doesn't mean that he's going to be strong too. I think if the bond is stronger with me, who's obviously a third of Arnold Schwarzenegger's size, but our bond is better, we're going to be stronger than if he was to jump on somebody who is physically strong.
Okay, so it's not like the movie where the host just wasn't strong enough and he had to keep hopping because
No, I don't think so. They were saying that those were imperfect hosts, and that's why
He was
they weren't
basically
able to
just
stay
hitching a
alive.
ride.
I think they were
Yeah.
just streamlining that whole
Yeah,
process.
he was just hitching a ride.
think
He
so,
knew where he
too.
needed to go. Yep.
Yep.
But I want to go back to Toxin because he is probably one of the most badass out of all of them, and we haven't seen him yet. He is freaking really cool.
I'd like to see what happens with good old Toxin because he is somebody who knows he's super powerful.
What do they look like, bro?
I'd be happy to show you. But anyway, so Toxin doesn't want to be. You know what I mean? Like, he has a conversation with his host, like, I didn't ask to be here, man. I didn't ask to be made. I don't want to do this. He has the IQ of a child, right? So it's very interesting to see how Toxin reacts with his host, whose name is, I have it written down.
He was bonded with a police officer,
right,
who wanted proper justice. I didn't
write
write
down
down
his name. The police officer
name.
ends up getting murdered. That's Toxin right there.
I was going to say, we
Take
need
a
a
look at
really
that
good
guy.
picture of him. I'm not finding... Oh, this is the picture that I wanted.
It's almost like a Carnage Venom half-breed.
Yep.
So what's cool about him...
Patrick Mulligan.
Patrick
I found it
Mulligan.
in your notes.
Thanks,
So
buddy.
he's
Appreciate ya.
actually bonded, and this picture's not really like fully... It's not fully pixelated yet. But when he bonded with Eddie Brock at one point...
Which he did.
His fangs became poisonous, so he looks like that, like normal. When he bonded with Eddie Brock, he had literally like poison drips from his fangs, and his tongue is lime green with poison. Like,
so why does it change with Eddie? See,
the
so
bond,
I don't get
the
about
bond makes him
symbiotes.
stronger.
Yeah.
So
It's all about
It's Eddie.
bond.
They
Eddie
could
Brock
get
is like the
stronger.
perfect bond. It seems from what we've seen so far.
Carnage has been on Eddie Brock before,
Yep.
too. We talked about that in the last episode we had. I mean, yeah.
Talk a little bit about
Comic
and
books
so,
never make
like,
sense to me.
Toxin is supposedly also like known to be feared by Carnage and Venom, but talk about the family history with there, because obviously when they jump from one to the next and they're created from each other, you said that he's basically somebody's grandson, and
Carnage
so
wants to kill him.
and technically Carnage is Venom's
Son.
Quick
son,
question: Who does
and
Carnage
Toxin
not
is
want to kill?
Carnage's son.
Good point. That's an excellent. Cletus Cassidy. It's
Yeah.
the only guy he doesn't want to kill.
That's it.
So
Venom is basically Toxin's grandfather, right?
Venom and
Weird.
Carnage
The way
are
that
both
it works, yeah.
are both scared of Toxin because of how powerful he is. But again, he's got that kind of naive sense about him.
He's
and the
young,
person
yeah.
who actually trains Toxin and takes him under his wing is Peter Parker.
Believe
Peter
it or
Parker
not.
sees that Toxin is not a bad dude and says, all right, I'm going to show you the ropes. Let me show you how we do this and teach him how to be a hero.
Until he
Now, does he
eventually
ever-
turns on him.
Nope.
Try to bond with Peter Parker? Is he ever attached to Peter Parker?
I don't know. I don't think so. Because he died, I think. I think he's dead in the comics.
Toxin or Peter?
After, no, Toxin.
Oh.
Although Peter might be dead, I think, in the current. I don't know. But, yeah, Toxin dies after he's on Eddie Brock. Because the police officer he originally bonded with gets beaten to death.
Ooh.
Yeah. But,
So how does that kill him?
Well, I mean, hey, no host. I don't know. I haven't read that comic.
How
so
long
I
can they
couldn't tell you.
last without a host, typically?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I don't know.
because Venom has stayed alive for a long time off of his host for a while. Carnage has had to because Cletus has been freaking obliterated.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I don't know. That's a great question. You know what it's worth?
A
Google.
Google. While you Google,
Give it a bing.
There are a couple of give it a bing. There are a couple of other ones that aren't quite as like well known to even the comics. I would think right now you might be able to say differently, but Scorn is one. We saw her in the Carnage USA. She was the one that created weapons from her arm. She was the
Yeah,
agent.
she was cool.
Yeah, she was pretty cool, and she's honestly like, although she was basically created in a lab, she's probably the most badass, like has the most like abilities. She can communicate with technology. She can create weapons from herself. Like,
there's-
she's
Especially
pretty
who's
cool.
she on, too.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool.
So they're making symbiotes now?
Who?
Scorn.
said
I was talking about
created in the
Scorn,
lab.
who we saw and talked about in the Carnage USA episode.
Yeah, she's the one who can control technology.
Yep, she can.
She's a badass.
She can
Yeah.
control technology. The problem was with her is that the symbiote was like getting into her thoughts, and it was kind of making her a little crazy. But
As they all do.
Yeah, she can communicate with tech. She
Also,
can
she'd
manipulate
been in
data.
contact with Carnage before, which
That's
is why
true.
she's going crazy.
She can turn into machinery, which is what we saw in the comics with her creating big giant guns and machinery with her arms. And she can fuse herself with other weapons. So, like, if there's already a weapon, she can literally just create, like it can become her arm. Instead of creating one, she can just pick up whatever's already made, and basically it becomes a part of her, and she controls it with her mind.
I just loved her in that story because during everything that's happening, she's like, I'm working on something.
I got this.
We gotta go. We gotta go.
this.
I'm working on something. No, we gotta go right now. I'm working on something.
Yeah.
And then at the end, boom! There you
That's
go.
what she's working on.
So she was Rocket Raccoon.
But to answer that
Basically,
question, it says there, who's my source here?
Yeah.
Sci-Fi Stack Exchange.
Okay. Well.
Don't know what that is.
Oh, yeah.
Stack Exchange.
But it does say, not aware of a time limit of how long a symbiote can live without a host. Symbiotes used to absolutely need a host because they would supply. It was implied that they would die without it, without an explanation given. But whoever this person wrote this article says they do not need a host to survive. Quotation marks.
Well, I mean, I would think not if they lived on a planet of symbiotes and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Like, how do they live?
You know who can answer this question for us? Reddit. Reddit
Can
can
they?
always.
Can they?
Thought you were
Yeah.
gonna say Justin.
Oh,
Let's call him.
Justin. We could call Justin. A symbiote can survive if the host dies. This is Trash Jack 42. I like him already. Yes, a symbiote can survive if the host dies, but it's generally in their best interest to jump ship to find a new one because they can't really puppeteer a corpse around, which is not true for all symbiotes. The 4 symbiotes that merged into hybrid did and bonded with a new host because Scream had killed their prior hosts. Venom symbiote is in the Marvel Zombies universe, stayed with Eddie Brock despite his zombification weakening and slowly killing the symbiote due to the need of a living host, not an undead one. All just to get one last shot at revenge against the now undead Spider-Man. I got to read that
Zombie
now.
Spider-Man?
Marvel Zombies, baby.
Boy.
Can't wait to hear that one. But yeah. I don't know how many more you have. You do have quite extensive notes.
There was a few that I was going to leave off. There was only one that I thought was pretty cool that I was going to touch on that I would love to see in a comic fashion. If there's something already out there, comment below and tell me because I would like to read about. I believe her Mania. You know anything about Mania?
No, I've just heard the name.
So
Wrestle?
They took a piece of Venom's tongue and
Yes.
cloned him.
Yeah. When he's fighting the Fantastic
Yep.
Four, somebody cut it off, and Mania was a clone of Venom.
And
Correct?
I believe
How'd that go?
I believe
Poorly.
it's a she, just by the pictures and stuff. I think it attached.
That's because it
So,
attaches to a
It
woman.
attaches to a woman, that's true. Which they actually gave her 2 options, gave the symbiote 2 options of a young, healthy person and an elderly person. And for some reason, she attached to the elderly person after having killed the young person. And so you find out later that this symbiote, it literally wants to just wipe out everybody in the
everything.
world and gets enjoyment out of killing their host.
Oh, so like one by one, like bink,
Just,
bink,
attach
bink,
and kill,
bink.
attach and kill. So
And
I'm kind of like, okay,
and I
that
believe-
seems Carnage-ish.
Mania ends up getting... Well, she's a clone of Venom.
Venom.
And ends up getting reabsorbed by Venom.
Oh,
So taken back.
Okay.
Yeah, so Venom jumps on.
give me my
and-
tone back.
Yeah, give me
And
that
the
shit.
only other one was if you wanted to get into the Agent Venom anti-Venom thing. But we can.
Anti-Venom is one of my favorite ones.
I figured
I
you
love
want to touch
anti-venom.
on him, and we can end on him.
Yeah.
See, you guys have
I'm
been
not
going-
ending on him.
You guys have been
we're
going-
not ending on
Oh,
him.
okay.
No, I know who
so
we're
yeah,
ending
talk
on.
about
You do now. He read my notes.
Yeah, talk about the Agent Venom anti-Venom thing.
Well, I don't really so much Agent Venom so much as I love anti-Venom.
Well, they kind of stem from the same purpose, don't
No,
they?
Agent is a completely different thing. That's just because of the person that they're on. They aren't named
I thought that-
Agent. Yeah, it's still Venom and
I know,
anti-Venom,
but I thought that it
they're
was
just
like
who they're on.
Spider-Man dumped something on them when they were attached to Venom and Agent Venom were like attached to each other or something.
This is what I'm saying. Let's say I'm Venom, right?
Okay.
And you're in the military, and the Venom that's on me jumps on you, and they start calling you Agent Venom. It's still Venom.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Venom gets split, right?
So
between...
Venom is a codex in. So when he jumps on you, he kind of leaves a
I
footprint.
was going to say, time out. So you said if you're still Venom, you jump to that guy, you're still Venom.
No,
Are you still a symbiote or no?
no.
So they can't like clone jump.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. If
Okay.
a Venom symbiote was on me, jumped
And then
off of me completely,
we jumped on
and
you.
jumped onto
Okay.
her.
But 2 symbiotes can join on one host,
Right.
which is what happens with Hybrid and
Menage a trois.
Venom and Carnage have
I like
done it
Venom
too.
and Carnage have done it. Yep. And you
So-
see that in the movie where Riot and Venom are fighting and they're detaching and retaching. You see that in the movie too.
So it's a mixture of, if I recall correctly, because I could mess this up. Eddie Brock is done with symbiotes. He just has the codex, which is like the little footprint on you if you've touched a symbiote. And he's exposed to Mr. Negative, who changes those DNA imprints on him, and then it forms its own symbiote, which is anti-venom, which is actually has a lot of healing properties, but is also mindless, if I recall correctly. Anti-venom does not influence the host at all. It completely listens to everything Eddie says, and it can control other symbiotes and kill other symbiotes too.
And that's why it's so freaking cool.
It's amazing. And that's one of the things he is always saying is burn the infection, and that's the way that anti-venom looks at the other symbiotes is you're a problem, so I'm going to handle you. And that's obviously Eddie Brock's view on after being duped by Venom so many times. But the last person I want to talk about
is Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. You guys ready for Spider-Man? Because that's not who it is. It's Dylan Brock, who is Eddie Brock's, quotation marks,
It is not who I thought
son.
it was. Oh!
Dylan Brock
He likes to mic drop. That's what he's doing, because I don't
is
think he
in
knows that we don't know what the hell
the
he's talking
current run of Venom.
Oh, I know who he is.
I only know from you telling me who he is.
That's
about. I don't know at all, because he
I
doesn't
know.
share this shit with me.
So Dylan Brock is what Eddie believes is his son. So basically, Anne Weighing, who's somebody who's worn Venom before, she was mortally wounded. Eddie Brock threw Venom on her to heal her, and then got it back, and then mysteriously, Anne is pregnant.
Time to call Maury.
Yeah.
Who's the daddy?
You are not the symbiote.
We are
So-
the daddy.
Without getting into too crazy much of the story, because I love it, and I know we'll do a comics version now. We'll talk about how Dylan is born, right? I'll just read exactly where I got it from the site. After Anne Weighing is mortally wounded by the Sin Eater, Eddie Brock transferred the Venom symbiote to her in order to save her life, transforming her into the monstrous She-Venom. And for a moment, they were simultaneously bonded to it, connected mentally and physically to each other. After the symbiote returned to Eddie, it left a piece of itself, called a codex, with Anne, who later found herself suddenly and mysteriously pregnant and gave birth to a son named Dylan that merged with a fetus incarnated in human form. So it's the fetus and the symbiote together, which ends up coming into a baby and being born. So Dylan has some crazy-ish about him, right? There's in the current comic, there's a time where a symbiote jumps on him and goes, "What the hell are you?" He's like, "Don't ever touch me again. I'll work with you, but I don't know what the hell's going on with you." And I was like, "Ooh, I'm intrigued." So let's talk about what Dylan can do. Human symbiote physiology, hybrids physiology. Dylan outwardly appears to be a normal human boy, but it's actually a piece of the Venom symbiote incarnated into human form. Dylan was initially unable to conscientiously control his powers, but would activate instinctually under moments of extreme stress, such as when his life was endangered in the most recent absolute carnage. However, with practice and instruction from Null,
Full circle.
mental, Dylan eventually becomes able to consciously utilize them, kind of like hijack them. Touch them and take over them. Shit like that. Dylan eventually does that, and when his powers are activated, his eyes turn like blue, like venom coming out of his eyes. And let's see. Yeah. That's just
Gibberish stuff.
Yeah.
Words. Paper.
Symbiote domination.
Wow.
This is what I was going to talk about. Dylan is able to sense symbiotes, and when his powers are activated, he's able to forcibly repel symbiotes attempting to bond to him. So the one that jumps on him, he's like, get off me. And it instantly has to stop. It feels searing, burning pain, and the symbiote instantly jumps off him. He can also forcibly control them against their will. In a symbiote, he goes, boom, gotcha. And they do whatever he wants them to do. So, and is also able to easily kill symbiotes that are threatening his life. Like, bye. Dylan is unable to bond to symbiotes, and attempting to do so or even contacting them it causes them excruciating pain. However, Dylan is able to remote pilot symbiotes by connecting to the symbiote hive, something that previously only Null was able to do. So Null is talking to this kid in his head who thinks he's Eddie Brock's son, but he's really not. Eddie doesn't even know that. And this kid is so freaking OP, but without getting too much into it, Eddie Brock goes to an alternate dimension, and it's a world where symbiotes have taken over, right? And in this particular universe, he's dead, and Anne survives. And he meets her, and they're like, okay, well, talk to me about your son. And he mentions Dylan Brock, and they go, that's Null. On our planet, that's Null. So you're like, oh my God. Hit it. Oh,
No.
that's the one you wanted.
That's not the one I wanted.
Hit the one you wanted.
Really ruined the moment.
I knew you wanted that one. So yeah, Dylan Brock
Holy shit.
is going to be one of those guys who I think is going to come in and take over in a major, major way.
So
Talk
this is
about
still
cliffhanger.
ongoing,
Wow.
full-running series.
This is one of those scenarios where you have the most powerful person in the universe. Do they become good because of Eddie Brock, or do they become evil because of Null? And I think it's a battle over Dylan to see which way the tides will turn.
So pick up this comic at Emerald City.
Or anywhere your local comic books are sold.
I'm going to pick it up from your house.
And I'm
along
mind blown.
that series
I'm
ends.
mind blown. That's a great way to end this episode, folks.
Oh, my God. I was wondering why you weren't going to end on Null, and now I know why. You masterminded this!
I may or may not have thought about it before this. I don't know, maybe. What's for dinner?
I don't know. I'm hungry as hell.